Welcome to the Introduction to Marketing. This is lesson 16 and I am your trainer, and in this lesson we are going to talk about the role of copy in your marketing. Now the first question you may be asking is, what do you mean copy? Well, I do not mean this kind of copy where you are imitating somebody, as we see the young lady in the photo doing there. Now, according to Wikipedia, copywriting is written content conveyed through online media and print materials. So therefore it's used to persuade a person or group as well as to raise brand awareness. But what I also liked was the continuation of the ultimate goal of marketing copy, and this too was in Wikipedia, and it says the ultimate goal of copy is to get the reader to take a particular action. The goal for a copywriter is to create remarkable content that the reader finds valuable and makes them want to take the recommended action. And we're going to conclude with this thought about action, just like we're starting it here, because it is so important. You can't have copy and you can't write marketing materials that do not involve taking some form of action. So the question is really why? Why is copy so important? Well, we have discussed that in an ideal world we should and we could and we benefit most from selling one-to-one. Or if we can't do it one-to-one, we can at least do it on the phone. But copy will allow us to sell even when we are not there. Alright, so we're not on the phone, we're not doing it one-to-one, and through that copy we can still sell. And even better, it allows us to sell to more than one person when we are not there. We can do it via personal letters. It can be done as a long form sales letter. In the online world, it can be done as a video sales letter. It can be done as an advertisement through social media. So all the different posts that you do, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they can all involve copy and they can all involve selling to many. It's the same with when you are creating blog posts or you're writing in a forum. Copy and great copy can make all the difference. And it continues with use in video scripts, audio podcasts, webinar presentations, ebooks, marketing brochures, signs and posters. So in this lesson, I'm going to basically cover 6 areas of copywriting focus. And like all the other lessons, the idea here is for you to be able to go back time after time with this video and make a note of these points so you can apply them one by one. And we talk about the headlines, features, benefits, advantages, short words, sentences and paragraphs, powerful and personal copy, informative copy relative to your offering, and including a call to action. In lesson 19, we're going to talk about marketing books and legends, but we're just going to sort of jump a little bit ahead of ourselves for the specific example I want to show with headlines. You see, one of the great advertising books ever written is this one. It's called Tested Advertising Methods by the man in the picture called John Caples, who, in advertising circles is widely regarded as one of the true advertising pioneers, greats and teachers. But the significant about this book, as you can tell by the title itself, is that it was tested. So basically what John Caples did was he went through a lot of different tests and he's able to provide the results about what works better. But interestingly enough, in the book he says that the headline is 50 to 75% of an advertisement. And here he says in the book too that 4 or more than 1/5 of this entire book, Tested Advertising, deals with headlines. Okay, and he goes on to say at the bottom there, you can see it there, it says the success of an entire advertising campaign may stand or fall on what is said in the headline. So he places that much importance on getting the headline right. Now, what you mustn't do with your headline is similar to what you can see here, where you see just the names of a business and the logo of the business, but very little else. And what you certainly mustn't do as well is use these fancy play of words and catchy slogans, just trying to sort of, I'm not necessarily saying make people laugh, but here you go, there's a chicken on there talking about Easter time and it says let's get cracking. Now, if you look at the cover of the book, towards the bottom there is a foreword by David Ogilvy. We've mentioned Mr. Ogilvy many times in this teaching. He is widely regarded as the father of modern advertising. And this is what David Ogilvy said about headlines. He said the headline is the most important element in most advertisements. The most effective headlines appeal to the reader's self-interest or they give news. And long headlines that say something are better than short headlines that say nothing. So my question really is, when you're looking here, where is the self-interest? And certainly, would you call this news? So you really need to make sure that you focus on the headline and making sure that it's the most important element, but that it appeals to the reader's self-interest or gives news. So next we have features, benefits and advantages, and really it starts with understanding the difference between features, benefits and advantages, because it's very important that all three are used in your marketing. And when you learn to write effective marketing copy, you just need to understand how they can work very, very nicely with each other. But you can't have one lot more lopsided than the other. Okay, so when we talk features, we're talking about the visible and evident facts. With benefits, we're talking about what you positively gain from the features. And with advantages, the ultimate, the longer term payoff. So just to give you an example, here we look at this advert, and although it's not necessarily set in stone, a good way to sort of see if you've got too many features in there is it tends to have quite a lot of bullet points. All right, now skilled writers use bullet points very differently, so this is why I was a little bit hesitant just to say automatically when you see a bullet point with marketing copy then they're just talking about features, because that is absolutely not the case. But with some of the marketing that needs some work, like what you're looking at here, you can see the sort of, it's almost like just listing everything, all the different things, fencing, new hedges planted. And we look over here as well and we see it again with this active antenatal program, just all those bullet points just listed there. Relaxation tools suitable from 14 weeks, 6-week terms. So what I wanted to try and do here was show you a couple of examples where we talk features, benefits and advantages all in one go. So here is a sleeping bag, and what you're looking at here, what they've written here, are all features. When we start on that, in the middle bit there it says insulated full length zip, horizontal baffles over body and legs, tapering mummy shape, vertical baffles over chest, hood, shoulder, collar. All features. So what's the benefits of these? Okay, for example, you could say the benefit of these is that it keeps you warm when you're out in the cold, and they're also waterproof so you won't get wet. What's the advantage of that? Well, you will wake up the next morning feeling refreshed and ready to enjoy your day because you would have got a good night's sleep. Do you see that feature, benefit, advantage? So let's look at another one, and this is something that I see all the time. It's a car that is mentioning all the different things that you've got here. The airbags, the stereo, the air conditioning, the fold over seats, and the anti-lock steering, and so on and so forth. So let's just take something like aircon. Okay, so it says features would be the air conditioning. What's the benefit of air conditioning? Well, it means that you can drive with the windows closed and you can stay cool. What's the advantage of that? Well, when you get to your final destination, you're not sweaty, you don't have to change your shirt, you feel very fresh, and you can just get on with your meeting or your shopping or whatever without feeling discomfort. Do you see the features, benefits, advantages? Now, granted, they take some thought, all right? You've got to really think through them, but what you need to do is to understand that relationship between the three. Next, we talk about short words, sentences, and paragraphs. Now, this is a terrific case study that I really want to sort of show you. It just does so many things very well, but we're going to focus on the short words, sentences, and paragraphs. Now, can you see over here? This is this same advert just a bit further down. The sentences are relatively short, the paragraphs are relatively short. It's easy on the eye. Now, where this works very nicely is with long copy, because there's always talk about saying, look, in this day and age, keep it short. That's really not the case, provided that you can have short words, short sentences, and short paragraphs that look like this. This copy could be as long as you want. I mean, look on that left hand side, that one sentence is more than just embarrassing. That's it. Next line, and it's definitely not a normal part of old age. Now, you're going to need to take some time to practice this and work on it, but it can be very, very, very effective for you. Now, we've talked about powerful and personal copy as well. So, I have highlighted in yellow, and I've also put a red arrow here, because clearly when we go back to this advert here, it's got to do with some certain discomfort, okay, with the bladder. All right. Now, when I talk about powerful and personal copy, you've got to remember you are not looking to try and get everybody's attention here, but people who really have these issues. Okay, so you look a little bit further up in the yellow there. Leaking urine when you laugh, cough, sneeze, or lift heavy objects. Right? Constantly feeling like you have to go even though you just went. Or changing your underwear frequently because of accidents on the right, and put on adult diapers. Now, this is, to some people, this would be just a bit over the top. But clearly, these people, this doctor has done his research. He has spoken to people experiencing this. So this is where he starts using powerful and personal copy, and it makes all the difference in the world. And what it boils down to is you must know and understand your customer. Now, what I often hear is people saying, well, it's all very well if you've got bladder issues or you've got teeth issues or something else like that, but I can't do it because my business is different. But that's simply not the case. What you need to do is speak to your customers, find out what their problems are. I could go through every single advert that we're looking at there, whether it's tax services, whether it's landscaping, whether it's car glass, whether it's an electrician, a painter, plastics, fencing, and we could get very powerful and personal copy. So it's very important you put it in, because then the people that are really looking for that and experiencing that will hold their hand up and say, this company is for me. Next, we talk about your marketing copy being informative relative to your offering. So let me explain this. Look at this advert here where it says, brush your teeth after meals today, and he says, I couldn't. And then a bit further on, it says, Get Gleam, the toothpaste for people who can't brush after every meal. So do you see what's happened there? They've made it specific to Gleam, not just to toothpaste. Too often I see people advertising saying, oh, you must do social media, or you should get financial investing, or you should do this, or you should do that. But they don't do it in such a way where the person must then come to them, to their own product, service, or program. Because in effect, you've opened the market to other competitors. So make sure that the copy is informative relative to your offering. You must make sure that the marketing you do and the words you write lead to your specific offering and not just the thing. So for example, toothpaste just in general. And then finally, as I said, we'll come full circle with this. You must always, always, always include a call to action. I'm just going to whiz through a few here. Look at that. Grab your exclusive £20 discount code, and it's there. Book now. And this one, right? Call for an appointment. The phone number is there. Save $50 now, right? Free trial. Send 200 emails free. Here, sign up here, try it free. So make sure with your copy that you're talking about a call to action. And some examples are sign up, download, call, text, redeem, fill out or complete, if it's a coupon or a voucher, request a consultancy or an appointment, and of course the best one of all, buy. So that summarizes these areas of copywriting focuses. You really want to make sure that you go over this video time after time, right? Looking at the headlines, features, benefits, advantages, short words, sentences and paragraphs, powerful and personal copy, and then informative, relative to your offering, and always, always, always include a call to action. So coming up next will be lesson 17, where we talk about marketing through positioning.